Community is such an important part of life, and it plays into who God created us to be as individuals, as families. It supports us, it pulls us, it steers us. Today, we get to dive into how we do community on purpose. How do we do it? What do we do? How does it work? What are the benefits? And how do we stay on track with God's calling in our life? You ready, babe?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, what do you think about community? And where do we begin to talk about doing community on purpose?
Okay, great questions. And what do I think of when I think of community?
Yeah.
Well, I think of Jesus. Like he's probably the model to follow. Is you see Jesus where he engages with the crowd, but even then it just keeps getting less and less and less people. So he had a crowd. He had many disciples. Then he had the 12. Then he had within the 12, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I can tell from the scriptures, even within the 3, a 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Jesus models the need for community, and we should follow that. I feel like that is a basic human need, is we need each other.
We do need each other. What does community do for somebody or a family? What do you think?
I think it can be
Why do we need it? I
why
guess
we
would be a
need
better
it?
question.
I think that we need community for several reasons. We need to do life with each other. We need people to show us our blind spots. We need people to encourage us. We need to show others their blind spots. We need to encourage others. And when you look through the scriptures, there's always like an iron sharpening iron, or it talks about a strand of 3 cords. And so it is through the scriptures, we need to be lifted up by others. We need to be lifting others up. We just need each other. Life is hard. And I think that so much can be done in community, including fun and fellowship, and just we can meet each other's needs. We can help support, we can encourage them and spur them on to the Lord. Why do you think we need community?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I think it is one of the basic needs that God built and hardwired into people is the need for community. I see that in the fact of just the family unit is a community. It's a small, tight community in and of itself. And when that's not right, I think a lot of people, like, you just feel off. It's not right. Oh, my family just isn't right. I can't tell you how many conversations we've had with people, or I've had with men of, yeah, dude, but my family just isn't right. There's something hardwired there. Then you look at the Jewish community and Jewish society, and they were such a tight unit. I was listening to a pastor the other day, and he was talking that, I mean, the Jewish community at the time of Jesus was such a clan that they were all about them and each other, and everything was a community function, a community need. They saw themselves as one big unit, not a bunch of individual units living together in proximity. And then, I see the enemy, our spiritual enemy, attacks community with isolation. So if it wasn't a big deal, he wouldn't go after it.
Right. Exactly.
I don't see him tempting a lot. I can't think of something that it would not be a big deal. I don't see him tempting with, but I think he attacks community, and he tries to pull isolation into things. That's one of, after years of working with men's ministry, that was one of the greatest tools of the enemy. One greatest weakness of men is isolation.
Right.
And I get the chance to coach with a coaching group out of Tulsa called Brave. And one of the things we talk about is the lone wolf is a myth. The lone wolf sounds cool. It sounds awesome. But the truth is wolves are a pack animal.
Yep.
And the lone wolf usually dies younger, thinner, weaker than everybody else because they are actually by themselves. And they're the ones that the predators would prey on.
Yes.
They're the ones that get picked off. They're the ones that die earlier because they are by themselves. Yet the pack animals and everybody living in a community are stronger and healthier, taking care of one another.
That's great. That's great. I was thinking as you were talking about the Jewish community and their culture, if you look at Acts 2:42 through 47, okay, I'm going to read this. It's 5 verses, so it's a little lengthy, but look at all this community did. Like, as I am saying something that they're doing, you emphasize, like, I'll read it, but then you're like, okay, hey, they worship together. They, whatever, as I read. So I'll
You
just
want me
read
to
slow.
interrupt you?
Yeah, interrupt.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship.
Fellowship.
Yeah. And devoted themselves to the teaching.
Yep.
Okay. To the breaking of bread.
Breaking of bread.
And the prayers.
And prayers.
I don't know if this is going the way I had planned. Okay. And all came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles.
Miracles.
All who believed were together and had all things in common.
Sharing.
Yeah. And they were selling their possessions and belongings.
Garage sailing.
Okay. And distributing the proceeds to all, as any had need.
Sharing.
Yeah.
Giving away.
Yeah. Meeting needs.
This is good. I can do this.
Okay, good. And day by day, attending the temple together.
Attending. Going to church.
And breaking bread in their homes.
Eating.
Together. They received their food with
receiving.
Glad and generous hearts. Praising God.
Praising.
And having favor with all people.
Having favor. I don't know what that means. You think like externally?
I think so.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved.
Saving.
Okay. I'm so glad we did that.
Did we do that?
I think we did. Okay, but you can see, like, it wasn't just, hey, we ate a meal together. No, they actually did life together. They met each other's needs. They pushed each other to the Lord, pushed you onward and upward to the Lord. They praised him together. They worshiped him together. They were devoted together. This is living life. It's not just a portion of your life. And I think that's about the willingness that some people have in today's society. I'm willing to give you only this much as I'm not inconvenienced, as much as what is comfortable for me. No, they were devoted to their community.
Ooh, you would almost say people today choose comfort over community.
Absolutely. 100%. And like, I think about kind of just the evolution of where this is going. When we had Sawyer and Jack 16 and 17 years ago, people showed up at our home with meals. Like you would have, a little, and this was before Meal Train and apps like that. But people would come over and celebrate the birth and serve you in some capacity of like, hey, let me take this weight off of your shoulder. You don't have to prepare the meal. You can heal. You can take good care of her. Now in 2026, that is almost obsolete. It is like, I'll send you a DoorDash gift card via text, and then you can order yourself whatever you want. So we're not being face to face with others. It is as much comfort and as little inconvenience as possible.
Well, I know you liked the Jenny Allen short where Jenny Allen said, "Where are the casseroles, people?
Right.
Where are the casseroles? It used to be casseroles, and now we don't have them." Okay, but here's the danger. Is if we say, "Man, it was so great then, and it's not great now," then we remove God and his sovereignty from this time. Hey, yeah, there were great aspects of community then, but that discounts, I think, some of the community today. Or what about then when we were growing up? What about 20 years before that? Was community better then? 20 years before that, was community better then? So how do we do community on purpose today with giving what we have? Because I doubt you and I, as incredibly powerful and influential as we are, we probably won't change the comfort over community entirely in culture. Like, hey, you listening, hopefully we can communicate to you to not choose comfort over community, but choose community over comfort because of the benefits that you get from it. So what do we do with what we have today?
I think that we encourage people to still meet together, to still gather together. And regardless what is relevant in 2025 or what went on when we had our babies or the 20 years before that or the 20 years, as you're saying, is the word of God is always relevant.
That's good.
And so that's what
good.
we have to anchor ourselves in. And we can rattle off scripture after scripture of how we support each other. So Galatians 6:2, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you fulfill the law of Christ. Are people carrying each other's burdens anymore?
That's a good question. I'm glad you didn't just cruise on to some other verses there. what would that look like? Because I think no.
Right.
I think maybe. That's what I think. A solid, absolutely maybe. That's what I
Okay.
think. I think some people do that well. I think some people don't.
Mhm.
I think some people choose comfort over community. I know there was a guy, I was in a men's group or a coaching group a couple of years ago, and a guy lost his dad unexpectedly. I don't think it was like a car accident, but it was rapidly. He lost him. And my coach, the leader of the group, who said, "Hey, we will not be the kind of guys that don't reach out because we don't know what to say." So we were intentional about reaching out even when we didn't know what to say. And I think that's carrying each other's burden. I think today it is easier to send a text
Right.
than a call.
Right.
It's easier to do a call than to go by their house. And there is ministry in presence.
I agree. That is the exact phrase that I was going to use.
So carry each other's burdens. I think sometimes, many times, and I would encourage anybody listening, that looks like showing up.
I agree.
That looks like being together because you don't know what that person needs. Great, you send them a text. That's like bare minimum acquaintance stuff. Hey, I read something about some guy on a text thread. Like, oh, dude, I'll shoot him a text. But going out of my way, and I'm not saying I do this well all the time, but going out of my way to be there for somebody feels like carrying their burden. When somebody goes out of their way to be here for me, that feels like carrying my burden.
I agree. And I think that when you carry someone's burden, I think that it can be in a physical form.
Yep.
Like, let's say that someone has a physical ailment. How can I serve you? Taking weight off of, can I come over and do your laundry, fold your laundry for you? Can we mow your lawn? Can we prepare a meal for you? And I also think carrying those burdens spiritually also, like standing in the gap for them. Hey, I am fighting on your behalf. I am fighting with you and I am fighting for you. And so I think there are different things that we can do. And I think a lot of times when it's an actual physical caring of, if there's financial hardship, how can we help you through that? I can just think of like hardships that I have seen our friends go through, hardships that we've gone through. If I just look at the last decade, I can think of some life altering things that have taken place in the people that we love.
Right.
And I remember like sometimes, a person's world stops.
Yep.
Everyone else's just keep moving and like, sorry, I can't. Our kids have ball tonight. Like, no. Don't even think about their ball. Think about the need here. But I think that our culture is so groomed to self. And I think that we're going to continue to see that until Christ comes back for us. Like, it's going to get worse. It's going to get more sinful. It's going to get more selfish.
Right.
And so when we say, back 20 years ago, back 40 years, back 60 years ago, I will always assume that the past was a better time and a healthier time based upon scripture of sin giving way to sin.
But we can't neglect today. Because it's not the past.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And we still stand on the scriptures that those are eternal. And the call to carry each other's burdens back then is the call today. And it will always be the call.
I agree.
Romans 12:15 says, rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. And so as we were talking about Galatians 6:2, carrying each other's burdens, like we get in there. We are celebrating when others are celebrating. We are mourning when others are mourning. And I think about the man who was let down through the roof and his friends like dug through there. And I think that's like community. Where are you pulling up your shirt sleeves? Where are you digging down to get your friend, your community to the feet of Jesus? And sometimes we're the one that's digging through the roof. Sometimes we're the person that's on the mat being lowered to him.
I agree. That's the beauty of community. And that and there's a reason for the community for the season.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we encourage you, find community and ask the Lord, as we've been saying, Lord, what is that community for me in this season?
Yep.
And engage and practice those, how many P's we got to? 10?
5.
5. Okay.
Provision, partnership, protection, praise, and prayer.
Yeah. So get in there and enjoy community, because it's a gift from God. Not everyone is going to be the same. Not everyone's going to have the same exact thoughts or look the same or act the same or react the same. But that's that grace and humility that you were talking about. And just enjoy God's creation and his good gifts.
I agree. It does. It grows us to be in community. I think about Sawyer and I read through all of the Little House on the Prairie books when she was really young. And I did all the voices, and it was a lot of fun. But I think about their community versus today's community. So we live in a big city, and there's lots of circles of friends and groups. And if we don't like one, we can find another. If we don't like that one, we could move to another. But for Laura Ingalls Wilder, and as she was growing up, the community she had was the community that was there. And so she made do with what was there. And it grew her, and it stretched her, and it helped her to understand how to interact with difficult people and easy people and all of it. But we deal with what we have.
Yep.
Beginning in the family, we're not looking to a community to replace our family. Our family is our first community.
Yes.
And then let's look at our existing communities where we are and do life already and learn to grow with them. And then we can choose, hey, Lord, where do I need to engage intentionally for this season of life where we are right now?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. What was that antagonist in Little House? Nellie?
Nellie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There may be a Nellie in your group.
That's right.
But it can change us, and we can help them along.
That's
or, it's pointed out like, oh my goodness, you are impatient, or whatever those things are. They can grow and change us. So
I agree.
Transformation is always possible for the Nellies
and for us.
Yep.
I agree. Since we've been sitting here, we're talking about community. So it is power in the pack, provision, protection,
yes,
praise. And I think what you're talking about here is partnership.
I'm so glad you had another P coming there. I was like, let's go full on alliteration.
Oh,
when you did
thinking what other P's can I come up with while we're on this episode?
Okay, let's do it.
So there's power in the pack.
Okay.
Power of provision.
Yes.
Right. In a community, providing for each other. That's the a cord of three strands.
Yes. Yeah.
That's provision, providing. You're talking about somebody who has a financial need, who has a specific need. They provide through the community. Mm-hmm. Protection. And you can stand in the spiritual gap or the physical gap.
Yes.
There's protection in a pack and in a community. Praise. Hey, we can push each other closer to the Lord. We can praise together, worship together. That's what I think it's Hebrews 10, or maybe there's another Hebrews that talks about corporate worship and worshiping together. Don't give up the habit of meeting together and worshiping the Lord together. That's praise together. And then partnership. Partnership is working together for a common goal. In community, we can have partnership and partners to work together towards a common goal.
That's great.
I'll make them up with some other pieces.
Okay, I will. I like that. And it's so true, and it's so necessary. I know you have prayer on there, right? Was prayer one of yours?
No, prayer was not there.
Okay, I'd like to add that P there, because I know how powerful communal prayer is when we have gotten together with other believers. I love that. It's like, where two or more gather in my name, there I am with you, from Matthew. I think praying together is so powerful. How would you describe true community?
Good question. Let me think on how to put that into words. I would say something probably like, according to John Eldridge, he did a podcast episode that we listened to, and it was about the platoon, right?
Put that one down. There's another P word.
A platoon. Got it. Okay. Where in a platoon, it's a small group of soldiers fighting together for a common purpose. And in this case, spiritual soldiers fighting together, men and women, parents and children. And he gave some aspects or description about that platoon and community. And it was, you are seen, you are heard, you are understood, you also see others, hear others, you can pray for them by name, they can pray for you by name, You know actually what's going on in their life. In my mind, that is what community looks like. I don't think my arbitrary hours of, well, you've got to spend 2.5 hours together every week. That doesn't matter. Hey, it can only be so many people. That doesn't matter. I think it is someplace that you feel seen, heard, appreciated, understood, and not like understood like nobody understands me kind of a thing, but just, I know, I know who you are. I understand you. I understand what you're about. And those come with time, communication. You know, I was given a talk the other day, and the idea was intimacy equals frequency plus vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's community, where there is a level of intimacy,
Yes.
which can only come from frequency and vulnerability.
Yes.
And both of those things have to be present, which means intimacy at some level has to be present in community.
I agree.
That's what I thought. That's a bunch of thoughts. What do you think?
I agree. I'm with you on all of that. I had jotted down just a place where you're real. I think where everyone is real because, you know, people can show up with pretenses, people can show up posing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think where there's a realness and a vulnerability,
Mhm.
because I don't think that we're looking for just like this quantity.
Right.
I think that we're looking for quality. And
Quality and quantity.
well, yes, but I'm saying like, it's not about number. It's not about breadth. It's about depth. And so, okay, am I revealing parts of me? And not that you have to confess your every sin
that's not
to every community you're ever a part of, but like, am I vulnerable enough to go, man, I am struggling with blank.
I had a bad day today.
Yes. Yes.
Was vulnerable enough to say, hey, I was a Yahoo to my wife and kids on the way to church today.
That's right. And you're usually never.
That was not the case today, but somebody might say that.
But a place where you were real, because otherwise I think when we're not going deep, it's kind of like just wasting time.
Yeah.
Like, no, I want to be sharpened. I want to be called out. I want someone to go, hey, I don't think that was the best idea, Gina. Or just inspired and encouraged to press on with the Lord.
I agree. I think those are definitely aspects of community, and it's hard to put it together. It's kind of like when your mom says, well, you'll just know when you know who you're supposed to marry.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you'll know when you're in community, when you're in it, and you'll know when you're not. But I think it does take frequency and vulnerability. It takes intimacy, which requires frequency and vulnerability. And it requires authenticity for sure.
And I think it has to, when you're authentic, there has to be a level of trust there.
Yep.
Because if we're going and being vulnerable, or if someone else is being vulnerable, if we're going and running our mouths behind these people's backs, like, one, we're sinning, and two, to expose a personal part of their life, like, that breaks trust. And so we have to be trustworthy. We have to be faithful. And I think there's things that we can incorporate, like shared experiences that help strengthen that bond. Like, have fun together. Everything doesn't have to be studious. Like, laugh together, break bread together. Like the passage that I read.
Garage sale together.
Yeah. Selling your
Sell
possessions.
your possessions together.
No, but in that passage of Acts, like, they actually lived life together.
Great segue. What are some of the ways you've thought of or want to share how families can do community on purpose?
Okay, I would say seek the Lord. Lord, your word tells me that I need to have community. Will you please lead us to the right community? And I will say, go ahead, baby.
Can I jump in right there?
For sure.
I would say before lead us to the right community, I would look for direction and understanding on what community should look like.
Yes.
Hey, God, for where we are in our family right now, what kind of community should we even be looking for? Because otherwise we might end up looking in the wrong spots.
Right.
And then either we miss it and we're unsatisfied because our expectation was here and we're looking over here. We miss it. I think it's important to say, hey, God, where we are right now, what kind of community do we need?
Right. And that's what I was going to say is, and we've been married for 22 years. Our communities, and I say plural because we've not been in the same one for the last 22 years. We've been in several, have looked different for each season. So our very first one was a bunch of married couples. None of us had kids.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
I think our first one, you're thinking through church community.
Yes. Okay. School community. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, I'm thinking, I'm thinking community was just a bunch of knucklehead friends from college.
Yeah.
Like that's community.
Yeah.
So I think we have to, one, take off church community.
Okay.
Take that lens off.
Right.
Because when you say our first one, you're thinking church community.
I was, yeah.
And I think take it off.
Okay.
Because we don't need church community. We need community.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for saying that.
I think Acts was community. And I don't think, please do not hear me when I say, well, we all need to be doing a church like Acts church. That's not what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I just think God's word gives us a great example of a community. But they were praising the Lord together, but it's not like the synagogue separated them. Okay, you 6 families, you're now in a community. Now you 4 families, you're in a community. It was, no, they just did life together, and worshiping the Lord was part of it.
I believe worshiping the Lord, or the Lord, was probably the anchor to their group, because I don't see them doing most of those things without the Lord.
I agree. But wouldn't that just be the culture of their family?
But I would call that a church community.
I would not.
Okay.
And here's why. I would call that a community, but it's not a church community, because they didn't have church community and then they had a sports community. And then they had a school community.
Okay.
And then they had a neighborhood community. This was just all of it.
Okay.
Like, because to me, our community is not, yes, there are smaller segments.
Yes.
But if I said, hey, tell me about your community, I'm going to think of everybody in all the segments, not my church group.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I agree to that. I think even like, okay, as you were saying that, homeschooling our kids for the last 12 years. Okay, there is a homeschool community, and we've been a part of a couple of different homeschool communities. So I can see that, like a sports community or whatever. I understand what you're saying in that. So I do think that community is important, and I think that the enemy does come after it, usually in the form of offense. I feel like, oh, somebody got offended and they leave the group, or maybe they don't leave the group, but they mentally check out or emotionally check out of the group. I think that those are threats to community.
So, okay, let me ask you this. Do you separate your communities into smaller buckets or groups, and you call, like, do you have a community, or do you have 4 different communities of buckets?
I probably have multiple different communities because, okay, like the sports teams of our kids, I've got communities over there. They do not blend with my home church community or our homeschool community. So it is different groups of people. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people that bleed over, but for the most part, there's no other people. So if I have a need, I'm going to go to one group. If I have a vulnerability, there are different expressions of myself and vulnerabilities within each group. Like, I'm not going to our kids' sports teams wearing my heart on my sleeve as I would in my home church group.
But would you call all of them your community? Or if I said, Gina, who's your community?
I would probably tell you the people that are closest to me.
So that would be an inner community.
An inner community. I would be more like Jesus with like the 12 or the 3.
The crowd, the community, the confidants.
Yes.
Okay.
I would be more of a 12 or a 3. That is my community.
Okay.
Like someone that I'm actually going to do life with.
That you frequently see and are vulnerable with. And so there's some level of intimacy. Okay. I just think when you say kicked out of the group or they back out of the group, would that be back out of your 12?
No, I see it in every facet of my life. Like every community that I've been a part of, There has been offense and like, okay, homeschool, someone, okay, I don't like this. I'm taking my ball and leaving.
Yeah.
I see this in church groups that we've been a part of.
Me too.
I've even been offended in church groups.
You have?
Thank you. And in sports groups, we see kids quitting or parents getting offended on behalf of their player. And so across the board, because the enemy does not want unity, the enemy does not want harmony. Yes, he's going to stir up some kind of division because that's what he does. So it does not have to be in any sect. It can come anywhere.
Okay, good. I like it. So what do families do that do community on purpose?
Okay, so we established 1, you seek God.
Okay, yep.
2, I think you added was, what is the right community for me right now?
Yep.
And I think that, yes, in an ideal world, if it was like your communities, whether it was the sports teams or the any type of club, your book club, your church club, whatever it is, I think we are like, oh, we're going to be together forever. But I think knowing like there are seasons for groups, there are reasons for groups. There is
seasons and reasons.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this fulfilled its purpose for this time in my life.
It rhymes. It's easy to remember. I love it.
I mean, hopefully some are long, lifelong groups. A lot of times it's not like that, but they have served a purpose, or you have served your purpose in that community for that time. You commit. I think that community takes commitment.
Yep.
Because it's easy to be one foot in, one foot out with whatever that community is. Commit yourself to it. God has called you there. He has a purpose. Remain until you're called out. What types of communities can you think that people or families can participate in?
Well, great question.
And should participation be one of our P's on there?
Oh, participation. Okay. Let's see. Provision, partnership, protection, praise, prayer. I don't know about platoon or.
I like platoon on there.
I don't.
I actually love it
because it's kind of what you do in the group, and you don't do platoon.
Okay, well, piggybacking on John Eldredge on that,
I do like
devotion
John Eldredge and the platoon
that you were referring to. He also refers to the platoon, which I think you brought up.
Yeah,
but it was like it was small enough. He emphasized it's small enough that you can pray for everyone by name. Now he was talking of a church community, but I like platoon.
I do too.
But I understand it is not a like action word or platooning.
Yeah.
In fact, like our home church will refer to herself like, all right, platoon, what do we need? Okay, so going back to the question, what are types of communities that you feel like families can participate in?
Well, I think it begins with identity and purpose. God, who do you want us to be? What's the purpose of our family? For us, to shine strong, to be beacons of light and pillars of strength to a dark and crumbling world. So we can see in what communities would we participate in, and how do we stay ourselves in a community? And I think you bring up a great point. Sports communities is going to be different than church community. Sports community is going to be different than friends. Now, I think we can always be open. We were teaching Sawyer and Jack this the other day. Your friend bucket is unlimited. I don't only have room for 5 friends or 6 friends. I have room for unlimited friends. The season and reason might change, and I might be in closer proximity to somebody because our boys play sports together or our girls play sports together or something. My friend bucket is unlimited. So I would encourage families to always be on the lookout for additional community. We had some friends. At the end of the year, we do a praise party every year, just what God's done in our lives. And we got introduced in 2025 to a brand new community that we had no idea, because we were willing to say yes to some friend who invited us to do something. And their family has been such a blessing to us. They're a large family, and they've blessed us in so many different ways with each individual in that family. That's a new community that I don't think we were searching out,
right?
But we were open to, because we built relationship and trust with one member, and they invited us to something. We said, yeah, sure, we'll try it out.
Yeah.
So what communities do families need to be looking for? Communities that provide, partner with them, protect them, that they can pray together and praise together. Those are the communities. I think look for those qualifications and those aspects of a community. And I don't think it has to be in a specific bucket. Yeah, buckets will naturally come, but I don't think that there's a checklist of, okay, I got my church bucket full. I got my sports bucket full. Oh, I've got my friend bucket full. Oh, I've got my quilting bucket full, whatever it is. So that's what I think.
Well, and I think the key word is the participation in there. So like, where are you providing also? Like,
right.
It's not just about self and me and what can I gain from you. It's how can I give? How can I be a blessing?
That's right.
And people are able to be blessings at different levels at different times.
That's right.
And so you may be blessed financially, whereas someone else may not be. That might not be where God has them at that point.
Yeah.
But maybe they are like prayer powerhouses.
That's right.
And they can give so much, or they serve. And so I think because we are this goes back, I'm going to put a Christian spin on this, obviously, but like the body of Christ.
Yes.
Like, okay, got an arm in here and a leg and, ears and nose and eyes and everything is collectively we're better and stronger together.
I agree. And that is the importance and the power of the pack. And so I think no matter what, community is vital. And I think families need community.
Right.
And I think they should be actively looking. We talked about, we've got 5 family core values, and then we have 5 action steps that our family needs. And one of those is consistent community. And so that's something that we actively seek out because we know our family needs it. And so when you actively seek something, you see it, you find it, you put yourself out there, you are transparent and authentic and maybe a little vulnerable, and maybe you try things that you're not used to because there's the potential of something on the other side. It's like if you were looking for a new car, a new sweater, your sweater looks so nice, but if you're looking for a new blue sweater, like, oh, I don't have one. I'd like to see one. Like, which one do I want? And then you start seeing it everywhere. And so there's a word for it. I think it's opportunity biased or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now if you're looking for actively seeking out community, you're going to find it. Oh, that's a community. I wonder if I would fit there and if they would fit with me. Like, how can we be symbiotic with each other and help each other?
That's good. And I think in today's society, everything is so cancel culture.
Right.
And so you have to be on guard. Like, there's not a perfect community. I mean, I feel like our home church is a perfect community.
I agree.
It does exist. It does exist. But I think about other communities that I've been a part of or am a part of. And there's always like, we're just many different personalities. And so expecting perfection, you will be let down. And we have to be forbearing with one another, and we have to overlook an offense. Now, obviously, if it gets to the point where like, this is toxic and unhealthy, yes, remove yourself out of that situation. You don't have to subject yourself to that. But the expectation of perfection will only disappoint.
I agree. I think community requires grace and humility.
Yes.
Don't get offended. Don't carry pride into the community, because pride will get you offended, and then you'll get yourself out of the community real quick.
That's right. Speaking of offense earlier, like I have been offended in communities, and it does make me want to retract, and it does make me want to go, okay, I don't even want to be a part of this anymore. But at the time, like not knowing this is the enemy. He wants division. He loves offense. Like he loves when people are offended. We just have to be unoffendable.
Unoffendable. I agree.
I think the enemy loves isolation because he can work on us in so many ways. He can cause us to sin. He can cause us to doubt. He can do all manner of stuff because community strengthens us. And I know, like being just a woman and a mom and being a young mom, sometimes it does feel like, okay, there were isolating seasons of life. Like, oh, you have a newborn. You're not out running around. You're not out, meeting up with people because you're taking care of a newborn. And having babies back to back was like, I was taking care of a newborn for a long time. And so I know that there are isolating seasons in life, but we have to fight against that. And I feel like the scriptures point us directly to fighting against that and the importance of it. So in Ecclesiastes 4:9, it says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. So do you have people in your life that if they fall, you are lifting up? Or if you fall, they are lifting you up? Like, it is imperative to have other people in our lives. And we talk a lot about community today. And I think Christian community is so important. It's so important. Hebrews 10:24-25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up, meeting together. Seen with COVID, most like the church attendance has greatly decreased. And then with that, I think there's just a great fall away of meeting together. But let's keep meeting together. Let's keep spurring one another on.
Good. I agree. How do we do community on purpose as a family? We do it intentionally, and we do it for the power of the pack, right? For provision, for partnership, protection, praise, and prayer. I believe all of those things are available for you in community if we can seek the Lord to understand what is right for us right now. And then we take action. Be vulnerable, be frequent. That leads to intimacy, and it requires humility and grace so that you can grow, we can grow where the Lord plants us. So community is a key and vital aspect of your family, and it begins in the family and then expands from there. So go be a family on purpose. We believe you can, and we believe you can do community on purpose.